Espionage has always been a game of deception. But the story of the double agent is far darker than the world ever imagines. These were not just spies. They were men and women who lived between two realities. Loyal to none. Haunted by both. Their missions weren't about survival. They were about identity. About trying to remember who they truly were in a world built entirely on lies. Let's pause here for a second. And tell me in the comments. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there right now? Because somewhere in the world, under a false name, a man who once held a nation's secrets is staring at a clock too, waiting for a knock that may never come. If you're new here, I am the Digital Sleuth. Welcome to our deep dive into the shadows, where we uncover the untold truths behind the world's most secret intelligence battles. Today we are not just talking about history. We are uncovering the psychological disintegration of those who betray everything for a lie. This is a cybercrime documentary on the human soul and the digital ghosts of the modern intelligence war. During the Cold War, when the planet was split between East and West, trust itself became the most dangerous weapon. Behind embassy doors and in safe houses from Vienna to Moscow, agents smiled at their handlers while secretly plotting their betrayal. One false word, one wrong code, and they vanished. Erased from history. Their names were scrubbed from every file. Among them was Oleg Penkovsky, a senior Soviet military officer who secretly passed thousands of classified documents to Western contacts. His intelligence helped prevent all-out nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis. But when the KGB discovered his treachery, he was executed in silence. His family was told nothing, and his grave was never marked. The state simply removed his existence. At the same time, in the West, Philby, a charming British officer trusted at the highest levels of MI6, was quietly working for the Soviet Union. For decades, he fed Moscow the names of Western operatives, leading to the deaths of countless agents across Europe. When his betrayal surfaced, Philby fled to Moscow, where he lived out his remaining years in isolation and regret. To his comrades, he was a hero. To his victims, a ghost that destroyed everything. But double agency was never just a Western or Eastern phenomenon. It was a universal truth of espionage. The same pattern played out in the Middle East, Asia, and beyond. The Israeli spy, Eli Cohen, operating under deep cover inside Syria's government, provided intelligence that shifted the balance of the region. But when caught, he faced a public hanging in Damascus. His body still has not returned home. The legend of his courage endures. But his humanity ended on that rope. And then there are those whose stories never reached an ending. Operatives who simply vanished. Like Ali Reza Asghari, a high-ranking Iranian general who disappeared in Turkey in 2007. Some say he defected. Others believe he was abducted. To this day, his fate remains a mystery. A man who once commanded forces became another file marked missing. What drives someone into this abyss? For some, it is ideology, a belief that their nation has lost its moral path. For others, it is money, revenge, or the thrill of power. But the deeper truth is more tragic. Once they step into that world, there is no coming home. In the modern age, the smoke-filled rooms have been replaced by encrypted servers. The double agent of today is often a digital ghost. This brings us to a terrifying reality often explored in a cybercrime documentary: the insider threat. In the world of cybersecurity, a double agent isn't always a high-ranking general. Sometimes they are a disgruntled system administrator or a bribed software engineer. Modern threat actors recruit these insiders through dark web scams and sophisticated major phishing attacks. They use the same psychological manipulation as Cold War handlers. Think about the mechanics of a modern digital betrayal. It often starts with mice, money, ideology, compromise, or ego. A foreign entity might find an employee through social media, identify their financial struggles, and offer them a consulting fee. This is the gateway drug to digital espionage. These digital double agents don't use microfilm. They use data exfiltration techniques, hiding stolen files in plain sight using steganography. They exploit cybersecurity protocols that are designed to watch the perimeter, but fail to watch those who already have the keys to the kingdom. We have seen this in major hacks, where international fraud cases were fueled by active accounts of employees who had already turned. They become ghosts in the machine, deleting logs to hide their tracks. Just as the spies of old tried to hide their radio transmissions, every double agent crosses a line they can never uncross. They live under constant surveillance, pretending loyalty to two sides that would both execute them if the truth emerged. They marry under aliases, raise families that never know their real names, and carry secrets heavy enough to destroy entire nations. The longer they live the lie, the more they lose themselves inside it. Many psychological reports from declassified intelligence files describe these agents as split personalities, capable of affection one moment and treachery the next. They write letters to families they will never see again. They rehearse fake smiles before meetings. They dream of freedom but wake every morning a prisoner of their own deceit. In the dark psychology of espionage, betrayal doesn't happen once. It happens in small doses every day. Each time an agent lies to their handler, deletes a message, or hesitates to follow an order, they feel a flicker of guilt. Over time, that guilt becomes paranoia, and paranoia becomes their only companion. Captured double agents describe the same pattern: insomnia, anxiety, and a haunting fear that they are being watched even when they are alone. One declassified file described a man who checked under his car every morning, convinced a bomb waited for him. Another kept his television unplugged, afraid it was recording his conversations. Many lived in apartments without windows or in hotel rooms rented under names that didn't belong to them. They became shadows even to themselves. In the corridors of intelligence headquarters from Langley to Tel Aviv, agencies train their officers to detect deception, polygraph tests, surveillance tails, planted suspicions, all tools of exposure. But against a skilled double agent, even these systems often failed. The most successful traitors were those who genuinely believed their lies. They didn't just play both sides. They became both sides. One such operative, whose real name remains classified, served for years within a Middle Eastern intelligence service. His downfall began not with a leak, but with exhaustion. Reports say he began speaking to himself in public, answering invisible questions, murmuring coded phrases to no one. When investigators arrived, they found his room covered in notes and numbers, but no evidence of money or motive. What they found instead was a man who had lost his sense of reality. This psychological disintegration is the quiet death of a double agent. They are not hunted down in alleys or executed in basements. They crumble from within. Their entire world is performance, pretending to love, to believe, to serve, while their true identity decays in the silence between missions. Even their families become part of the deception. Many double agents, spouses, and children had no idea of their true affiliations until it was too late. When the truth surfaced, they were left with shame, exile, or interrogation. Entire lives families, and generations destroyed by the invisible war. By the end of their journey, these spies no longer dream of success. They dream of silence. A place where the noise of deception stops. But that peace never comes. Because even if the world forgets them, the agencies that created them never do. Their faces stay in classified archives. Their stories redacted in black ink. Their fates sealed in silence. No matter how careful they are, no secret lasts forever. In the end, espionage is not a game of intelligence, but of endurance, and betrayal always finds its way home. Across decades of spy history, the most chilling stories are not about assassinations, but about what happens when one side finally realizes the truth. In the intelligence world, exposure is rarely dramatic. It begins with a whisper, a suspicious report, an inconsistency in a meeting log, or a name that shouldn't appear twice. One case that haunted both East and West was that of a European operative who spent years feeding data to an opposing bloc. He was precise, disciplined, almost invisible. But one day, his coded transmission contained a small error, a repeated word that didn't match his usual pattern. That single mistake was enough. The encryption team flagged it and the order was given to monitor him. Within weeks, he vanished. In other cases, betrayal came from within the same agency. During the height of the Cold War, entire intelligence departments were infected with paranoia. Double agents were exposed not only by surveillance, but by colleagues desperate to prove their own loyalty. The walls of every headquarters carried the same smell of fear. The life of a double agent is a tragedy of slow disappearance. But the tactics used to turn these individuals are the same ones used by cybercriminals today to target you. Whether it is a major phishing attack or a sophisticated social engineering scheme, the goal is to get you to betray your own security. As the digital sleuth, I want to give you the tools to fight back. Here is how you prevent becoming a pawn in someone else's game. First, understand the hook. Most digital betrayals start with a phish. Be wary of any communication that creates a false sense of urgency or offers easy money. This is the foundation of most dark web scams. Second, adopt a zero-trust policy. Don't assume an email is safe just because it looks like it is from a friend or your boss. Always verify through a second channel. Third, audit your access. Periodically check which apps have access to your data. Just as agencies audit their agents, you must audit your digital handlers. Fourth, be aware of social engineering. If someone is digging for personal details or pain points in your life, they might be building a profile to manipulate you. Finally, use hardware keys. For high-security accounts, move beyond SMS-based 2FA. Use physical security keys. It is the closest thing we have to an unbreakable code. The spy who never came home isn't just a story. It is the shadow that follows every person who thought they could live between two worlds. They were not soldiers. Yet they fought wars more personal than any battlefield. They carried no flag, no uniform, only secrets, lies, and guilt. When their usefulness ended, their lives ended too, not always by bullet or rope, but by loneliness, erasure, or madness. The archives are full of missing operatives whose fates remain classified. Their deaths were never acknowledged. Their sacrifices never honored. To the public, they never existed. To their agencies, they were liabilities erased for security. And to their families, they were eternal questions. In truth, the life of a double agent is not one of glory. It is a slow unraveling of identity. Every lie told becomes a piece of truth lost. In the end, they don't fear death. They fear being forgotten, because in espionage, the dead are not mourned. They are deleted. Their stories remind us that the cost of power is paid by the invisible men and women who live and die in silence. The loudest victories are built on the quietest tragedies. For some spies, the war never ended. It simply swallowed them whole. Stay curious. Stay aware. And never stop questioning the story's power wants you to believe. I am the Digital Sleuth. Case closed.